The ancient world often whispers its secrets. It does so from beneath layers of earth. Near Tel Megiddo in modern Israel, a significant Roman site lies. This site is known simply as Legio. It was once a bustling military hub. The Roman army established a formidable presence here. This camp was not a temporary station. Soldiers lived and worked here for a very long time. It stood as a symbol of Roman power in the region. Legio was the permanent military base for a famous unit. This was the Legio Ferrata, the ironclad 6th Legion. Over 5,000 Roman soldiers were stationed here. Imagine the scale of such a settlement. It was a small city dedicated to military might. The soldiers came from various parts of the Roman Empire. They brought their customs and their duties with them. This camp played a crucial role in Roman provincial administration. The legion's tenure at Legio was remarkably long. They arrived around 117 to 120 CE. They remained garrisoned there until approximately 300 CE. This means the camp was active for over 180 years. Such a long period of occupation is significant. It allowed for the development of complex site features. These include barracks, administrative buildings, and importantly, cemeteries. The daily lives and deaths of soldiers unfolded here for generations. The historical significance of Legio is immense. It provides a window into Roman military life. We can learn about their organization on the frontiers. It shows how Rome maintained control over distant provinces. The camp at the foot of Tel Megiddo is a key site. It helps us understand the Roman East. Archaeological work here continues to reveal fascinating details. These details paint a vivid picture of the past. This camp was truly a cornerstone of Roman strategy. Archaeological discoveries often bring surprises. In February 2024, news emerged about the Legio camp. Researchers announced significant findings from the site. Then, in May 2025, a detailed study was published. This study appeared in the prestigious journal. It focused on a very specific and unusual discovery. The findings shed new light on Roman rituals. They point to practices previously unattested in this region. This has excited historians and archaeologists alike. The most striking find was a shallow pit. It was located in what archaeologists call Area B. This area is part of the Legionary Cemetery. Inside this pit, excavators found something peculiar. There were no coins, no pottery, no weapons. Instead, the pit contained only animal remains. Specifically, it held mandibles or lower jaws. It also contained maxillae, upper jaws, and isolated teeth. These all belonged to domestic pigs. At least 13 individual pigs were represented. What made this deposit even more intriguing was its exclusivity. Only these head parts of pigs were present. There were no other bones from the pigs' bodies. No femurs, no ribs, no vertebrae were found. This was not a simple discard of butchery waste. The selection of remains was clearly deliberate. The careful placement suggested a purposeful act. It was not a random accumulation of bones over time. This pit was different from typical refuse deposits. Further analysis confirmed the unique nature of the deposit. Sediment analysis was conducted on the pit's contents. The results indicated a single event. All the pig jaws and teeth were deposited at one time. This was not a gradual accumulation. It was a planned, singular act of burial. This pointed strongly towards a ritualistic purpose. The Romans, it seemed, had a specific reason. They carefully buried these pig head parts in their cemetery. The team of researchers examined the pig remains closely. They were looking for clues about their purpose. One of the first things they noted was the condition of the bones. The jaws and teeth showed no signs of cooking. There were no charring marks from fire. There were no telltale signs of boiling. This immediately suggested the pigs were not primarily for a meal, or at least these specific parts were not consumed. Furthermore, the bones lacked other common marks. There were no carnivore tooth marks on them. This means dogs or wild animals had not gnawed them. Rodents had not damaged them either. This is important. It rules out the possibility that these were food scraps. If they were simply leftover food waste, animals would likely have scavenged them. The careful, undisturbed burial prevented this. This finding steers us away from simple explanations like kitchen refuse. The absence of cooking and scavenging marks is crucial. It strongly suggests a non-utilitarian purpose for these specific bones. They were not casually discarded after a feast. Their burial was intentional and meaningful. The archaeologists knew they were looking at something special. This was not about sustenance in the usual sense. It was about something symbolic, something ritualistic. The context of the legionary cemetery added weight to this interpretation. However, there was evidence of processing. Some of the bones did show cut marks. These marks were consistent with butchery. They indicated that the animals had been slaughtered. The flesh had been removed from the head. This defleshing happened before the jaws were buried, so the pigs were killed. Their meat might have been used elsewhere, but these jaws were specially selected. They were set aside for this specific ritual deposit. The study of the pig remains yielded more insights. The age of the pigs at death was determined. They ranged from 6 to 18 months old. This age range is quite specific. It suggests a deliberate selection process. These were not very young piglets, nor were they old breeding animals. They were chosen when they were reaching maturity. This was an age when they would be of an appropriate size, perhaps for consumption or for ritual significance. The selection criteria point towards a conscious choice. Roman soldiers likely selected these pigs carefully. They were chosen for a particular role in the ritual. The age profile fits animals raised for meat. However, as we saw, these jaws were not cooked. This implies that if meat was consumed, it happened elsewhere, or the act of sacrifice itself was paramount. The animals were prime specimens. This indicates the importance of the offering. Another intriguing detail was the ratio of jaw parts. Mandibles, the lower jaws, predominated significantly. They outnumbered maxillae, the upper jaws, by about 3 to 1. This specific anatomical focus is unusual. Why so many lower jaws compared to upper jaws? This disparity cannot be accidental. It suggests the mandibles held a particular symbolic weight. Perhaps they represented something specific in the ritual context. The meaning is still being explored by researchers. The combination of age selection and anatomical preference is telling. It underscores the ritualistic nature of the deposit. These were not random animal bones. They were carefully chosen parts from carefully chosen animals. This level of specificity is a hallmark of ritual behavior. The Roman soldiers at Legio were following a precise set of rules. These rules governed their funerary practices. The pig jaws were key elements in these sacred traditions. Their meaning is slowly being pieced together. Section 5. Swine and soldiers' pigs in the Roman military psyche. Pigs held a multifaceted role in Roman society. This was especially true for the military. For Roman soldiers, pigs were a primary food source. Pork was a staple in their diet. It provided necessary protein and energy. Legionary camps often had pig farms nearby, or they sourced pigs from local populations. So, on one level, pigs meant sustenance. They were vital for maintaining a strong fighting force. Beyond their practical value as food, pigs carried symbolic meaning. They often represented strength and masculinity, qualities highly valued in Roman military culture. The wild boar, a fierce and formidable animal, was particularly potent. In fact, the emblem of Legio X Fretensis was a boar. This legion also served in Judea. Such emblems were powerful symbols of a legion's identity and spirit. The association with courage was strong. Ancient written sources also shed light on pigs' ritual importance. Authors like Varro and Pliny the Elder mentioned pigs. They described purification rituals involving these animals. Pigs were considered effective for cleansing spaces or people. In a military context, this was highly relevant. The sacred oath of allegiance sworn by soldiers sometimes involved a pig sacrifice. This sealed their loyalty to the emperor and the state. It was a solemn and binding act. Pigs were also part of important state sacrifices. One of the most significant was This was a major purification ceremony. It involved the sacrifice of a pig, a ram, and a bull. These animals were offered to the god Mars. Mars was the Roman god of war. He was a principal deity for soldiers. Thus, pigs were deeply embedded in the diet, symbolism, and religious practices of the Roman army. Section 6. Feasts for the departed, the Silicernium and Cena Novendialis. Researchers studying the Legio pig jaws have proposed a compelling interpretation. They believe the findings are evidence of specific Roman funerary rites. These rites are known from textual sources. Two important ones are the Silicernium and the Cena Novendialis. These were ritual meals held in honor of the deceased. They took place at or near the tomb. Their purpose was manifold. They honored the dead and comforted the living. The Silicernium was a meal eaten right after the funeral. It often happened beside the grave itself. The Cena Novendialis was another funerary banquet. It was held on the 9th day after the burial. Both rituals involved sharing food and drink. They served to purify the gravesite. They also helped to appease the spirits of the departed. Animal sacrifices were an integral part of these ceremonies. Pigs were frequently the chosen sacrificial animal for such occasions. According to Roman custom, sacrificing a pig was sometimes a required act. It could be necessary to legally consecrate a burial. After cremating their dead, Romans would often purify the site. This purification typically involved sacrificing a pig. A ritual meal would then be shared among the mourners. This act reaffirmed community bonds. It also ensured the deceased was properly sent off to the afterlife. The Leggio discovery provides tangible evidence for these practices. The pit of pig jaws at Leggio fits this pattern remarkably well. The uncooked nature of the jaws is key. The defleshing suggests meat might have been consumed, but the jaws themselves were a special ritual deposit. They could represent the essential part of the sacrifice. This discovery is particularly exciting. It is the first clear archaeological evidence. It shows this specific custom being practiced by Roman soldiers in the Levant. Section 7. A Levant first unprecedented ritual evidence in Israel. The discovery of the pig jaw pit at Leggio is groundbreaking. It marks the first physical proof of these specific Roman funerary rituals in the Levant. While Roman presence in the region is well documented, direct archaeological evidence for certain customs can be elusive. This find changes that for these particular rites. It confirms that soldiers carried these traditions with them. They practiced them even in distant provinces. This is a major step in understanding Roman cultural dissemination. It is true that concentrations of pig jaws have been found elsewhere. Some have been noted at other Roman archaeological sites, including in Jerusalem. However, the context at Leggio is unique and highly specific. This is the first instance of such a find within a legionary cemetery. More importantly, it is a dedicated jaw-only pit. It is directly linked to the graves of soldiers. This specificity sets it apart from other, more general deposits of animal bones. The geographical first is of considerable importance. It demonstrates the reach of Roman cultural and religious practices. The Levant was a diverse region. It had its own ancient traditions and beliefs. The presence of such a distinctly Roman ritual here speaks volumes. It shows the efforts made by soldiers to maintain their identity. They adhered to their ancestral customs. This was true even when stationed thousands of miles from Rome itself. This unprecedented evidence helps us understand cultural interactions. It also highlights the conservatism of military communities. Roman soldiers, it seems, were keen to uphold their traditions. This was especially true for important life events like death and burial. The Leggio pig jaws offer a rare glimpse. We see the intimate religious lives of these men. They were serving on the very edge of the Roman world. Their commitment to Roman ways remained strong. Section 8. Legionary traditions, maintaining Roman rites far from home. The findings from Leggio do more than just identify a ritual. They underscore the remarkable persistence of Roman traditions. Religious and funerary practices were deeply ingrained. They did not fade away easily. This was true even in remote military outposts. Leggio, situated in what was then Syria Palestina, was far from the Italian heartland. Yet the soldiers there clearly continued to observe Roman customs. This speaks to the strength of their cultural identity. Soldiers stationed in such distant camps maintained metropolitan traditions. They brought a piece of Rome with them. This included their language, their laws, and their gods. Funerary rites were particularly important. They dealt with fundamental aspects of life and death. Ensuring a proper burial according to Roman norms was vital. It provided comfort to the living and peace for the deceased. The pig jaw ritual is a testament to this dedication. Interestingly, this ritual appears to be specific to the Roman military, or at least it was particularly emphasized within military context. It does not seem to be a broader civilian tradition adopted by soldiers, nor does it appear to be a local Levantine custom that the Romans adopted. Instead, It points to a set of practices intrinsic to Roman legionary culture. This highlights the distinct social and religious world of the Roman army. It was a culture within a culture. This discovery demonstrates the cultural cohesion of the Roman military. Soldiers from diverse backgrounds were unified. They were unified by shared service, discipline, and rituals. These practices helped forge a common identity. They reinforced loyalty to the legion and to Rome. The pig jaw ritual, performed at the graves of fallen comrades, would have been a powerful bonding experience. It reaffirmed their connection to Roman ways even on a distant frontier. Section 9. Reinterpreting the past. Broader implications of the Legio discovery. The implications of the Legio pig jaw discovery extend beyond this single site. The clear ritual model established here provides a new lens. Researchers can now re-evaluate other archaeological finds. There may be Roman cemeteries and bone caches elsewhere. Particularly in the Near East, some might have been misinterpreted. What was once dismissed as simple trash or food waste could be re-examined. It might actually represent similar ritual activities. This new understanding could lead to significant reinterpretations. Collections of animal bones, especially specific parts like jaws, deserve closer scrutiny. The Legio case study shows the importance of context. It also shows the importance of detailed analysis. This includes looking for cut marks, cooking evidence, and age profiles. Such careful work can reveal hidden ritual behaviors. It can transform our understanding of past societies. Many sites may now yield new secrets. The study detailing these findings is a crucial reference. It is titled Pig Sacrifice and Feasting in Roman Funerary Practices, a case study of the Roman legionary cemetery at Legio. The principal authors are Lee Perry-Gall and Greg Layfire. Their work was published in Volume 117 of Attikut, a journal of the Israel Antiquities Authority. This publication, dated May 2025, makes the detailed findings accessible to the wider academic community. It invites further discussion and comparative studies. Ultimately, the uncovering of this pig jaw ritual enriches our knowledge. It tells us about Roman soldiers, their beliefs, and their lives on the frontier. It highlights the complex interplay of practicality and symbolism in their world. This discovery opens new avenues for research. It encourages us to look again at what we think we know. The echoes of these ancient rites, preserved in buried bones, continue to speak to us today. They remind us that the past is always revealing itself.